Explain like I'm 5. If matter cannot be destroyed or created, how does space constantly expand? Maybe I'm misinformed about this. But I was always told matter cannot be destroyed or created. But I have been told space is constantly expanding. Is this expansion of space not made up of matter? Where does it come from? Space isn't matter. Matter is particles. Space is just space. It's not made up anything and it's not coming from anywhere. That said, it's not actually true that matter can't be created or destroyed. It can. Throw an electron at an anti-electron, and you will have no electrons left. You can also create mass in some situations. For example, a photon, which has no mass, can create an electron-anti-electron pair, which do have mass. It's energy that can't be created or destroyed, not mass. And even that might not be true on a universal scale. Space refers to empty space. Things are getting more far apart. The distance between things is expanding. But it's not creating any new matter. I feel like this is missing as an explain like I'm 5. Conservation of mass is mostly a chemistry idea. Mass is conserved in a chemical reaction. Once you start getting into weird nuclear reactions and particle physics stuff, things get weird. But in our everyday lives, mass is conserved. It's expanding in size, not in mass. At the Big Bang all matter was confined in one point. After that it started to expand. Not necessarily increasing mass but volume. Space is just empty space. When space expands, the objects which are made of matter are being pulled away from each other. Space is empty. A vacuum. With no particles or atoms of matter. Nothingness can go on forever. The reason things in a vacuum fall at the same rate feather and bowling ball is because there are no particles of matter for them to move around on the way down. If there was something air then the feather would slow down. Isn't the only thing expanding the observable universe? That may not be the right term. But I mean it in the sense of detectable. For all we know another universe is expanding next to us and we simply haven't run into each other yet. Space is not filled to the brim with matter. Space, for the most part, is just that empty space. As the universe expands, the density of the universe decreases. Eventually there will be so much expansion. The idea will be that gravity will lose out and everything falls apart. Space is not matter. The expansion of space is just a property that it has. It's one of the mysteries we are still trying to solve. That phase commonly comes from a chemistry teacher and neglects a few key words in a chemical reaction. Matter can't be created or destroyed. Others have already explained that matter can indeed be created and destroyed. We do it all the time. This is one of my favorite fun facts when giving tours: particle physics. Space is just emptiness. Space isn't made up of anything. It's a place in which matter exists. Energy-matter conservation laws do apply. But space-time is a different entity that can expand, contract without violating said laws. Stretch an uncooked pizza and the pepperoni will be further apart. Imagine the pepperoni is glued onto the dough and the dough can only be broken by black holes. Eventually the stretching of the dough will break the pepperoni. And then its atomic particles. The dough stretches forever and gets faster as time goes on. The heat death of the pizza is when the dough is so stretched. The particles that made up the atoms of the pepperoni are stretched too far for their interactive forces to work. The universe is expanding because it is being filled by dark matter. Dark matter is used up time. Everything is getting further apart. Imagine you and some friends meet up in a circle in the center of a football field. Then each of you takes a step back. Then another. The size of your circle is increasing with every step. Eventually it will be the entire football field. But no new friends have been created. You're just all getting further apart. Hold up 2 fingers next to each other. Move them away from each other. Did you create or destroy any fingers? You could think of it like inflating a balloon. Although the balloon appears bigger, it hasn't gained any matter. It just stretched. There's a theory that the end of our universe could be caused by expansion. Basically, space would stretch so much that molecules and atoms would be ripped apart. You have cake. You cut the cake in half. You take both halves apart. You have the same matter. But now it occupies more space. Space is expanding. As in spreading apart. Not adding more mass. Mass is energy. You can change between the two. The edge of the universe is unperceivable, though if one does exist, it's just how far something traveling at the universal speed limit, also known as the speed of light, could reach if it existed since the start of time. Since space is the lack of stuff, something must have traveled through it for it to be emptied. There is actually a recent theory that uses some very complicated maths to re-examine what we have seen and states that the universe isn't actually expanding. We are just seeing what is, as far as I understood, particles becoming old. So we may assume they are actually moving away from us when it could be that they are just different from particles much closer to us. I have suspicion that the expanding nature of the universe is due to the spin of galaxies. There's a right-hand rule which says that if the fingers are lined up with the spin of an object, a thrust is created in the thumb at a 90-degree angle to the plane of rotation. Picture your right hand holding a bottle. Fingers together wrapped around the bottle, with thumb pointed up, perpendicular to fingers. This acceleration force is what keeps gyroscopes standing. Things aren't getting bigger. They are moving further apart. Galaxies all more or less fly outward from the center of the universe. Because everything is debris flying away from the Big Bang. I don't have the answer, but I feel like fire should be considered a form of energy, and that can certainly be created. And it can grow, thus becoming bigger and bigger energy. So I don't understand that. Wow. Space is just space. Mind blown. So it's like the universe's version of a blank canvas. Cool. If the C in MC2 is a constant, why isn't it just written out, expressed in digits already?